Everyone talks about the moment they bought their first rental property. The excitement, the keys, the first rent payment hitting their account. Nobody talks about what comes before that. The part that catches most people completely off guard. The part that determines whether your first property becomes the foundation of something real or the most expensive lesson of your financial life. This is what they don't tell you. The first thing nobody mentions is how long it actually takes. Most first-time investors think they'll find a deal, make an offer, and be collecting rent within a few weeks. The reality is very different. From the moment you start seriously looking, to the day a tenant actually moves in and hands you a rent check, you are looking at 3 to 6 months. Minimum. Think about everything that has to happen in that time. You need to find the right property in the right area at the right price. That alone can take weeks of searching, driving neighborhoods, running numbers, and making offers that get rejected. Then comes the mortgage process. Pre-approval, surveys, back and forth with lenders, paperwork you didn't know existed. First-time investors are almost always shocked by how slow this part is. Then renovations or repairs, because almost every property needs something before a tenant moves in. Then marketing the property, screening applicants, referencing tenants, and finally getting someone through the door. And during all of that time, your money is tied up, sitting there, working for nobody. That timeline alone, the gap between excitement and first rent, kills more first-time investors psychologically than any bad deal ever could. Be ready for it. The second thing nobody tells you is that the number you see on paper is never the number you actually make. Let's say you find a property. The rent is $1,500 a month. Sounds great, right? Here's what that $1,500 actually looks like once reality sets in. Mortgage payment, $800. Property taxes, $120 a month. Insurance, $80. Maintenance reserve. Experienced investors set aside 1% of the property value every single year for repairs and unexpected costs. On a $150,000 property, that's $125 a month. Vacancy reserve. No property stays occupied 12 months a year forever. Budget for at least 1 month vacant per year. That's another $125 a month when you spread it across the year. And if you use a property manager to handle tenants, maintenance calls, and rent collection, add another 10% of the monthly rent. That's another $150 gone before you've touched a penny. Run those numbers. Your $1,500 in rent has become less than $100 in real monthly profit. That is not a failure. That is just the honest math that experienced investors understand from day one, and that nobody shows you on the highlight reel. The third thing nobody tells you is that tenants are unpredictable. And that is not an insult. It is simply the reality of building a business that involves other human beings. Your best tenant will pay on time for 3 years without a single issue, and then leave with 2 weeks' notice in the middle of December, leaving you scrambling to find someone new during the slowest rental period of the year. Your most difficult tenant will pay on time for 6 months, build your confidence, and then stop paying entirely. And evictions, depending on which state your property is in, can take anywhere from 30 days to well over a year to complete legally. During every single day of that process, you still owe the mortgage. This is why every experienced investor will tell you the same thing. Have a cash reserve before you buy. Not just the down payment. A completely separate emergency fund, minimum $5,000, that sits untouched and exists only for the property. Most first-time investors spend every dollar they have getting into the deal and have absolutely nothing left when reality arrives. Don't be that investor. The fourth thing, and this one surprises almost everyone who hears it. Your first rental property probably will not change your life financially. Not in year 1. And maybe not even in year 2. One property generating $100 to $400 a month in real cash flow after all expenses is not financial freedom. It is not retirement. It is not the life you saw in the highlight reel. But here is what it actually is. It is experience that no book or course can give you. It is a credit profile that now shows lenders you are a serious investor. It is equity building quietly in the background every single month. And it is proof, to yourself and to every bank you'll ever speak to, that you can execute. The investors who eventually build real, lasting wealth through property are never the ones who found one perfect deal. They are the ones who bought an imperfect first deal, learned everything it had to teach them, absorbed every uncomfortable lesson, and then bought a second property smarter, faster, and more prepared than the first. So before you buy your first rental property, here is what actually matters. Know your real numbers, not the optimistic version. Run the full calculation with vacancy, maintenance, insurance, taxes, and management fees included. If it still works, it's a deal worth considering. Keep a cash reserve that is completely separate from your down payment. $5,000 minimum sitting in an account you do not touch. Learn your state's landlord and tenant laws before you ever need them, because the investors who get hurt the most are the ones who find out how the rules work at the worst possible moment. And finally, be honest with yourself about the timeline. This is a long game. The people winning it are not the ones who move the fastest. They are the ones who prepared the longest, thought the clearest, and treated their first property as a foundation, not a finish line. Nobody puts this part in the highlight reel. But this is the part that actually determines what happens next. Now you know what they don't tell you, and that changes everything.